Hello and welcome to the first Loose Links of 2021. Thank you for joining us this evening as we discuss our Christmases and what we did. And do we have any traditional Christmases at all? Also, we talk about the vaccination within schools. Also, we finished on the topic of weather in the UK. Are we ever prepared for it? All that and a lot more. Roll titles. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us on this cold Tuesday evening. Joining me, Nicholas James, is Rachel Penny, Jason Lambert, and Mike Kitty. As we discuss this evening our Christmases and what we've done, and do we have any Christmas traditions, and have we kept them this year? Also, we discuss the vaccination and people getting them, and schools not being a priority, even though the government are stating schools need to be reopened. Also, we discuss the weather in the UK, and are we ever really prepared for snow and ice? All that and a lot more on this week's Loose Links. Good evening, panel! Oh my word! How amazing is this to be back? Oh, it's been a long time. Nearly 3 weeks. I've not been able to do anything with my life. I don't know what's going on. Have you missed it, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, it's good to have you back, Mike. You're a very special person this evening. Really, you finished the show on 2020 and you restart the show on 2021. There's not many people that can say that.
Well, what can I say, Nick? When you're desperate, aren't you?
Jason, it's nice to have you back. You didn't do very many shows last season, did you? Because you were like our newbie, really.
Just the one.
So he's back with a vengeance tonight. And can we please welcome our newest panel member, Rachel Penny? She's been thrown into the deep end a little bit.
We asked a question on Thursday night, and here I am.
She was asked to come join us for this show, but she's our new panel member of the panel, and she's now here from now on. She's part of the Loose Links family. Also, as we promised in our New Year's tradition, we have Darren Holt with us this evening, who will be signing our shows every second Tuesday of the month. So, enjoy. So this evening we talk about, let's start back with the welcome back, guys. So, what did you do over Christmas?
Not a lot, really.
Lead us away.
Not a lot. Quite quiet, really. Stuck to the government rules and just stayed local, really. That's all you can do, isn't it, really?
I know, it's been a bit different. Rachel, did you do very much this Christmas day?
Oh, it was my worst Christmas in my life.
Oh,
quite honestly. Oh, don't worry about it. The thing is, I'm looking after my mother here, so we're both shielding, and I just sat in the kitchen by myself eating Angel Delight. I was with one of the angels. But it was a day. It was a day. Hopefully, doing it like that, we have many more. So
well, some people are really big on the tradition of Christmas, aren't they? And really big on Christmas, and then other people like yourself. I'm sure there's people that can relate out there that say it's just another day of the year. Really, it's nothing.
Well, it's family orientated, isn't it? So I did have people come to the door. I had my dinner brought to me on like Meals on Wheels. And my family came and dropped a present off at the door, so it wasn't all bad. But it was probably a rest, no cooking involved.
Yeah, exactly. So, what about you, Jason? Did you do very much?
Quiet Christmas at my house with my other half. I did get to church for midnight mass and played for midnight mass. We did have a service, which a lot of people have missed. But we did manage to do midnight mass at 11:30 and got in at 1:20 in the morning. So yeah, it was good.
I did it this year, and it's one of my favourite services of the year, midnight mass. But it was a very COVID midnight, wasn't it? It just didn't. To me, it didn't feel.
I think the most thing I missed about it was the carols and the descants, and just not having anybody sing. It was just very strange.
Carol, it's such a shame that you didn't make it this year. Such a shame that you wasn't there. What did you miss anything about this year's Christmas? Is there anything that you thought, oh, I really missed that this year?
I missed going to my family after Christmas because I was going to have Christmas here and New Year with my family, but I wasn't able to travel, so missed seeing all my family because I haven't seen them since June, possibly.
Such a shame, isn't it? What about you, Mike? Was there anything that you missed this year? Was there anything that...
Do you know what? Christmas was quite nice, realistically. I think a bit like yourself, Rachel, it was very quiet, and other people on the panel. I think I missed more the build on the run up to Christmas, you know, all the celebrations, music and the camaraderie and sort of that festive spirit, because really it's what picks us up, isn't it, before we go into the dark winter of January and February, the very dark, cold, wet months. And there isn't really a lot that happens, is there, in them, besides Valentine's Day, but, you know, that's a different show. But, you know, I just think, yeah, there were lots of sort of that connection and ability to be with others miss.
Socialising,
yeah. We're mirrored by what you're saying, Rachel, and I think you made a really poignant comment, which is actually, I think we've got to sort of look at it as one day. I think they were the words you used this year, and hopefully next year it will be better. I guess really without starting to go into sort of these long debates and conversations around what tomorrow will bring, because none of us know, do we? We're not, you know, psychic, and we can't see into the future, and we just have to trust the science. I think my worry is, will we still be, I mean, I hope we are, but will we have a Christmas like we know it to be next year, or will there still be some element of social distancing? I don't know.
We will be going, you picked up on a good point actually, Mike, because that is our second topic. We will be going more into that about our new lives and what we look forward to, and the government announcements all the time as well. But finishing it on our Christmas and New Year topic, really, is there any traditions that you and your family do over Christmas and New Year? Is there something that it can't be Christmas without?
Not really.
No.
Is there not? See, it's the Muppets Christmas Carol for me.
Oh,
on Christmas Eve.
Oh, yes. My daughter has that on every year, and my husband, and they know it word for word, you know. Yeah, I love the bit where the gonzo falls into the ice bucket. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah,
I've got to watch
Rizzo the Rat, rather.
and lots of wine. It's not Christmas until I've opened a bottle of wine. That's another tradition. And nobody's drinking on the panel this evening, are we, Mike?
Just the one, look.
A big one.
Is there any Christmas traditions for you, Jason? Is there anything apart from the religious side of things? Is there anything that you do that's like a tradition over Christmas?
Oh, I have to watch Oliver.
You have to watch
Oliver.
Oh, Oliver.
Oh, yeah.
Good film.
Scrooge.
Scrooge. Oh, see, I'm not that into Scrooge.
Oh, I love Scrooge.
I quite like this is the gay side of me coming out, but I quite like the soaps on Christmas Day. I quite love.
Oh no, that would finish me off. I can't be doing that. I like escapism. Escapism.
Oh, I love it. I love the soaps on Christmas Day. It's the time I collapse in front of the telly.
I do think the writers feel like Christmas Day is the day to kill people off.
Definitely, 100%. Anyway, join us in 2021 with your Christmas traditions. Tell us how your Christmas went. Let us know what you did over the Christmas period. Was it different? Did you find it difficult? Or did you find it a bit more relaxing? Because there are some people out there, and I feel a bit rubbish saying this, but I spent part of Christmas Day on my own. And actually, for the first time, I've spent part of Christmas Day on my own. And I I enjoyed it. That's really bad to say, isn't it? But I kind of enjoyed just being at home on my own. It doesn't happen often enough. So it was quite nice. So let us know if you've had your first Christmas alone and if you enjoyed it or not. Was it something, or was it just another day of the year like we've talked about? Right, moving forward, I'm going to talk about the hot topic of this week that seems to be going everywhere at the moment. Every turn of a corner, we see this news article somewhere. So, the COVID vaccination. I try very hard in all shows, try not to talk about a lot to do with COVID because it's in our faces all the time at the moment. But actually, I thought this would be quite a good debate. So the great news that the vaccination is rolling out more and more in Lincolnshire. But as we face another lockdown and we hear the famous words again, stay at home, save lives, and protect the NHS. But are you shocked that teachers and people working in schools are not at the top of the list for vaccination?
I am. Because they're caring for their children, aren't they? They're caring for children, so they are carers. So they need to be vaccinated because their children go home to families and they come back and they can probably introduce, yes, they should be. They're care workers in respect. So they should be, I believe, if they want it.
What about you, Mike? Do you think they should be at the top of the list?
No, I'm sorry, but I don't. I think, you raise a really valid point, Rachel, but we've got to go on the statistics. And that's all we can trust, really. And it is difficult to trust because I appreciate we get conflicting information all the time. But if we do not vaccinate the top 4 priority categories, then if we look, I think, is it over 80-something% of all deaths are in them 4 categories. And if you look at the stats behind them, they're not particularly, if you look at like your over 80s, your over 70s, I'm not saying all because some will, but generally 9 times out of 10, maybe that's a high stat, I'd say maybe 7 out of 10, they're not necessarily having that direct care of younger children around them. So when I can see, what I'm trying to evidence is I can see the logic behind doing them categories first. If they are what's influxing the NHS and causing this crisis, you're shielding, you're clinically vulnerable, etc., that have had extensive amounts of shielding and being locked in, and yes, we sort of, to some degree, I think, it's interesting, Rachel, you mentioned you had Christmas alone. I don't want to sort of prompt you to sort of explore the reason behind your shielding approach. But what I'm trying to say is that the top 4 categories are a priority. I do think teachers.
Oh, I do believe they've got to be a priority. Those top 4 priority, definitely priority. But I do think that the teachers, they should be given. They are looking after these children that go to school. They are, a lot of them have parents in the NHS as well. Yeah. And they need to be kept safe. And thing is, I am extremely clinically vulnerable myself, so that's why I shield, and so is my mother. That's why I came to live with her and to look after her. So I have an exaggerated fear myself, but I do believe that, I know you can't get everybody at the top of priority, but I do think they have a place. Yeah, I do think they definitely have a place up there. Probably not the first, second, or third, but they definitely have a place in the top 4, I believe, anyway.
So do you feel they come before you as 4th?
Well, if I shield properly, which I have done, I haven't been out, I wash all my food that comes in, I don't mix with people. They haven't got a choice. They have to be out there. They have to be amongst people. I have got the option of being safe here in my home with my mum, in my mum's home with her, and at the end of the day, it's not going to be a lifetime, hopefully, and touch wood, I'm going to stay safe. But they haven't got an option. They are looking after children. Sorry.
Yeah, I do understand your point, and please don't feel I'm being difficult. I guess I just don't think it's as black and white as that. I mean, my question is, does every clinically vulnerable person have that opportunity to stop at home? Now, the government is directing those to shield, but actually, to some degree, so I'm clinically vulnerable and I'm shielding, but I have a duty responsibility to safeguard children, because that's my role in my organisation, and I'm having to make then judgments via the computer, where, because I can't access a vaccine, which won't cure me, but will potentially stop me going into intensive care, over potentially a relatively fit and healthy teacher. I absolutely think, and I can't support teaching staff and keeping them children safe. There's lots of debates. We know I've got colleagues that work in education. You know, they're saying that they're dealing with daycare. They're not educating. They're just keeping children safe. Actually, we can't get out, or I can't get out. I mean, I represent a very small minority, I'm sure, but I can't get out to support my colleagues in keeping them children safe because of that greater risk. I just don't think it's as black and white as.
But not every category of those 4 categories, not every category is black and white. As you say, there's always it has to be generalised, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I guess there is a question of, could they come in with the frontline workers? I'm not necessarily against that. I guess at all, you know, everybody's life is equal and important. I just think we've got to sort of look at, I can see the government's initiative with this wave, you know, and I mean, I don't know about yourself, but, you know, have you received any notification yet that you're due to have the vaccine?
Today.
Can I ask?
Yeah. Mid-February, they say.
Fantastic. But have you received like an appointment, or is that just a notification?
No, just I had a letter from Matt Hancock, just as just a government letter, just to say that it should be anybody in my category, in my area, should be probably rolling out mid-February. But it's very difficult.
I do think, Nick, that they should, you know, they absolutely are a priority. You know, how can these teaching staff care for our children, as Rachel's saying? But I just think I'd be interested to see what the government's initiative is for the second wave, and whether or not, because, for example, there are people that have got underlying health conditions that are still not even counted in the first wave, but we know will have an impact. So, I don't know, diabetes, for example. You know, and there are other illnesses, isn't there, with this situation? You know, I mean, I know that was it yesterday Matt Hancock was speaking on the news saying that, if I'm wrong, I apologise to anyone that may be offended. But what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is I'm sure he was saying is it autumn, he wants everyone to be vaccinated. I just guess, where do you start? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? If I come across wrong, you know, jump in, challenge me.
Well, the thing is, Mike, I do understand that I am going to be the person that says I slightly disagree. only because I just think that we've, with the second lockdown, they have figured out that there's a load more outbreaks within schools. And I just think that they're constantly talking about prioritising children and education, and we must keep children in education. But how the hell do we do that when we're taking teachers, teaching staff, cleaners, anybody that works within a school, and saying, off you go? I know many people that work with special needs children, just everyday children, just work in schools, but they're constantly closing bubbles because they're losing staff, because they're going in and they're getting ill. Now, it's all right, and they are saying, and I get this, they are saying children are very unlikely to catch the virus or to show any symptoms of the virus. So I can get what they're saying there, but what if a child is a carrier? What if a child is going into a school and then spreading that within staff for staff then to take it home and make their family?
Well,
go on, Jason.
Going on from there, Nick, though, do you then think that they should be a priority to get the second part of the Pfizer vaccine 3 weeks later as well then. So then
yeah, I do. Yeah, 100%. I do agree with that, because I just think the thing is, it's a high risk within schools at the moment, and we are constantly what Boris is constantly saying that we don't want to do. We are there's always on the plan and on the table. Do we have to close schools again? Can we keep schools open? And it's a simple answer for me. If you want schools open, if you want children to receive education, give the people that are giving that and are able to do that the vaccine. Let them have the vaccine. I'm going on my high horse now, but I'm a vulnerable category. I'm a type 1 diabetic, but I'm a key worker. I'm going out every day. I can't say, oh, by the way, I'm not coming today. I look after people, and those people cannot look after themselves. But in the same respect, my best friend's wife is a head teacher, and if I was stood next to her and someone came up to me and said, okay, you choose who has the vaccine first, 100% her. Give it to her, because she's in school every day. She's working with these people. We're trying to get children educated again. Children have lost a lot of education within the last year or so, and I don't get it. They're just not priority.
But schools aren't closed, are they?
Well, no. I had this argument on Facebook with somebody the other night. Hello, if you're watching. But they're not fully open either, are they?
No, they're not fully open, but they're not closed.
No, they're not fully. They're only open to vulnerable and key worker children.
Yeah, but teachers aren't sat at home in their pajamas.
no teachers aren't at home and don't start, Mike.
I mean,
don't start.
My husband is a teaching assistant, and he's been at work since the school closed. She's had every single member of staff in and working.
But what about those children that are missing out? What about those kids that aren't vulnerable, that aren't key workers, that aren't this, that, the other? What about they're all missing out on education? And we can change that now. We can absolutely change that now. And we're not.
But then we're going down the government's route of the fact that they said they would provide 1 million computers for vulnerable children so they could access learning at home, and they haven't.
But why? But the thing is, my argument is on it. First teacher debate of the year. I'm loving it. My argument is on it that actually, why aren't they receiving? It seems like it's not priority. But then we're moaning, and then we're saying on news, oh, we can't. We're thinking about closing schools again, and we really don't want to close schools, and we want every child to go into education. Well, there's one simple answer then, isn't there? Give them the vaccine, then this whole conversation will stop. Every child will be able to go back to school. Every child will be able to go back into education. Even Mike, your role within working with children, I think you should be a priority. Your role within working with children is a priority to children. So let's get these people that are working with them back in.
Even then, though, if there was a COVID case within that year group bubble, the entire year group would have to have 2 weeks off.
Yeah. But that could start with the vaccine.
The teachers could be vaccinated, but it could be a child who brought it in. Parents get them checked, they get a COVID. That year group is out of school for 2 weeks. So,
but if there was that many vaccines available, we'd just say everybody get vaccinated. But there isn't, so they have to sort out, which one's a priority. And unfortunately, we've got too many priorities. So something has to give, doesn't it? More vaccines.
And that's the thing. What we have to remember. I think you're right. It's not about, and I think you raised a really valid point, Jason, as well. I think there's more to this than a sort of standard of, we know the quality of education for children at the moment has been significantly impacted. We know the impact that has. It's clinically proven, it's scientifically proven, it is economically proven. If our generations are not educated, that impacts on their contribution to society in whatever capacity. Spiritually, morally, culturally, academically, however you want to look at it, we know that. However, there is also a baseline of the reason why this priority list has been put together is because over 80% of the cases that are dying and are saturating our intensive care are these categories. And I can see the theory of by February, I mean, you know, you've heard what Rachel said today. She's received notification from Matt. We'll not discuss Matt and my personal views on him personally, but she's received a notification.
Move on.
You know, if we can get these priority groups done by November, then, you know, I mean, I tend to agree with you. You know, I think to myself, would I give my vaccine to somebody that, you know, could make that difference? Possibly, yes, you know, like a school teacher. But what I'm saying is if we can get to February and we can do this level of vaccination, then we could potentially review matters, couldn't we? But I appreciate it's not as black and white, and they're trying to draw on the stats, aren't they, to lead them. And like one thing I will say as well is what we do have to take into account for the teaching staff that are working, just as the frontline social workers, just as the nurses and doctors, just as every other type of key worker, you know, a shopkeeper, a binman, whatever, you know, if they are clinically vulnerable or present in them vulnerability brackets, e.g., you know, bless them, over 80. I mean, you know, God, if we're all still working over 80, there's a, you know, I mean, I know some people do, but you'd hope they'd be able to retire and relax. Then they should be shielding, shouldn't they? That's the initiative, really.
Well, slowly, you brought us on to the second question, really, is one that really grates me at the moment is gates.
Another point that really grates you.
Yeah, another point that really grates me. I'm quite grated about this whole topic, to be honest. I wasn't too sure if I was going to bring it into the show because I've got quite high views on it. But Boris has said in the last speech about us moving forward after February half term. But before this, he talked about being in a better place before Christmas and for the same before summer. Would you rather him give us a date, or would you rather him say we will review this? The reason I'm asking this question is I am sick and tired of hearing we're going to be in a better place by February, we're going to be in a better place by summer, we're going to be in a better place by August. To me, it's just false hope. Nobody knows if we're going to be in that better place by August. Nobody knows. And then people are let down by Boris when it gets to Christmas. And
but the general public aren't. The general public, though, Nicholas, they're not stupid. You've got to have hope. If somebody, if he's wrong, and then he's said it's going to be probably a year, 18 months before we're out in the clear, we'd have all looked ahead and thought, 18 months, oh my goodness, I don't think I can stand it, I don't think I can cope. You've got to have hope. And let's put it this way, nobody's been in this position before. He hasn't. And so it's, you know, you've got to have hope in all this.
Well,
and if it comes to the point where it goes past that hopeful barrier, that timeline, then deal with it. You've got another then. You have to do it by chunks. And I've always worked, like if I have a list of jobs to do, I'd do it like step by step, chip away at it. And that's the only way I can live, because if I thought I had 18 months, 2 years, I wouldn't have coped.
No. Well, the thing is, I'm not saying at all that we shouldn't have hope. I'm completely getting that. But I would rather him say, I'm going to review this in February, than him say, we're going to be in a better place by February.
Well, he does both, though. He says, there's the hope, and then within a week he goes, oh, we're actually reviewing the situation. I believe we've got to have hope. He hasn't been in the situation. Nobody knows where we're going to be from one day to the next sometimes. And I think that when Pandora's box was opened, the only thing that was left in the bottom of that box was hope. And I think that's what we've got to have. Because I think if we lose any kind of hope, then I think we are doomed. We've just got to work at it. Like Rachel says, we've got to chip away, because it's the only way we can do it. Because nobody actually really, honestly, if they were being truthful, has any idea where this is going to end.
Well, if we had 98,000 deaths and no vaccine and no hope, that would be an awful place to be in.
Yeah.
But we've got, unfortunately, all those deaths And it would be absolutely diabolical if there wasn't a vaccine, because it would just terrify everybody. So I think we are in a better place than we possibly could have been.
Yeah.
Go on,
with
Mike.
the
Before
vaccine.
I start on my rage again, go for it. Jump in before I start.
No, I've got nothing to say. I think Rachel and Jason
I'm exhausted.
have summarised it beautifully. I think there's you know what? All I was going to say is emotional stamp. Stamped. Move on, Nicholas. You've not. We're not. Not tonight. We've made the point.
It's just played on me. That's all. Because I just think it's just better to say we'll review stuff. Well, say like for pure example, say like Christmas. So to me, people, because he said so much, if we stick to this, we are going to be in a better place by Christmas. And I know a lot of people out there have really, really stuck to it because they really wanted that Christmas. But the thing is, I'm not saying, well, I know better and I would say this, but I wouldn't be saying, well, we're going to be in a better place by Christmas if we do this, because the thing is, people then start to plan. People then start to set stuff up in their heads. People start to organise, right, let's meet together, let's do this, let's do the other. Where to me, I think it would have made more sense and maybe hope by saying, I don't know what we're going to be like in Christmas. It completely depends on you guys out there. All that I can say is I hope that we're in a better place by Christmas. And it's just him saying that grates me. It's just him saying, and if we do this by February, we're going to be in a better place. We don't know that. If he had said to me, and I would have more respected him if he had said to me, and if we stick by this and we follow the rules, hopefully by February we can review to see how we can move forward from then. But it's that date thing for me. It's that, well, by February we'll be in a better place. Well, actually, nobody bloody knows that. We could be in a worse place by February. But by just saying that word, we will review by February, completely takes it off the plate, because I'm not saying the general public out there are stupid. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is there's that. It's some people will think, oh, but he's saying February. So he's saying February. By February, we're going to be in a better place. Fantastic. If we do all this, and everybody could do it, everybody could follow the rules, but we could still be in a very dark place by February. And then we're down again. And then it's like, it gives us another day. And I'm like, just stop giving dates. Just say, we'll review it in a month and I'll let you know.
What about, I know it's going off on a bit of a tangent, but you just see the TV and you've got adverts, the vaccine's coming, book your holiday.
Yeah. See, I don't agree with that.
So it's strange, but I like Bojo. I don't care what you say about him. I love the man. I think he's lovely.
I don't know if I could. We're not discussing Boris, are we?
Just thought I'd put it in there.
Do you think, on our final question of the evening on this, do you think schools should have even reopened in the first place? To me, and only to me, it felt like the children were guinea pigs on the front line.
I don't think they should have gone back in September. I think, and if they'd have taken Sage's advice, they wouldn't have gone back. But I'm not going to create a heated debate about that. I just don't think they should have. But there you go.
Go on, Mike. I know you're dying to.
I'm doing so well tonight, aren't I? I'm just so proud of myself. But no, I agree. I do agree. I'm not so much. Did you say September, Jason? I don't know if my signal broke up a little bit there. Sorry, Jason. Did you say September?
Yes.
That was a little strong, but yeah, I get where you're coming from. I think certainly after Christmas, there's a debate of whether or not what was the point in going back for one day. But I do think the stats were significantly lower in September. You know, if we look at, you know, part of the reason why Boris is saying that he's having the difficulties in giving the explanations is because of the new variants, isn't it? In terms of the original, forgive me, or the old variant, whatever the correct terminology is, there was evidence of progress in them warmer months, August, September. So I don't know. I think what you're asking in terms of Christmas, I absolutely question. Was there a need to go back? Do I think that they were guinea pigs? I don't know. I think that's a very strong statement, but I can understand how people can come to that opinion. I think if they were, for me, if they were guinea pigs, could you argue that it would have kept them in longer to see the impact of that? Because one day, I guess for me, there's a question of whether or not there's been thorough planning and thought process rather than a guinea pig experimental view. But that's just personally my opinion.
So, do you know, Mike, I don't know if you realise, but that is one of your sayings. When I was like looking at the clips back from last season, there was quite a few times that you went, but personally, that's just my genuine opinion. I feel like I'm going to put that on your gravestone.
Well, who knows, Nick? If I don't get my vaccine, I could end up with one, so you'll be able to come and put it on, really.
But tell us, join the great debate this week and tell us what you think about maybe your child off school at the moment and schools closing, or if your child's a key worker child and going into schools. What's your opinion about schools closing? What's your opinion about teachers and teaching staff and people within schools to having priority over the vaccination? Let us know. Your opinion is just as valid as ours. You can find us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. And also, please email us at looselinks@gmail.com. Please let us know your opinion. So, moving on to a topic. And Mike, you seem to be here, don't you, for the high-talking, quite serious topics?
The morbid topics, yeah. Where I'm sure you're after getting me barred or something on social media, really.
I do promise you, though, Mike, if we ever have a news article where it's a date of the end of the world, I will invite you on the panel.
Thank you.
You can have a discussion. Our final topic. So, with this week's weather change, well, not only just this week, the last couple of weeks, with snow and ice a lot in Lincolnshire the last couple of weeks, the UK seems to panic when we have a weather crisis. Do you think the UK never learns from whatever weather crisis we have, so snow, ice, thunder, whatever? Do you think Lincolnshire struggles to deal with any kind of weather when we're just not used to it? So, for your example, we have 2 inches of snow on the ground. Do you think Lincolnshire goes into panic mode?
It's a good job we have got only one hill. That's all I can say.
That's
Lincoln.
not the case in Lincoln.
But we haven't got any money left. Everyone's used it for furlough and for the vaccines, and so we've just got to dig our own gardens up and chuck it on the road outside. I don't think it's anything to worry about this time this year. Really, we've got enough to worry about without snow. It'd be quite exciting because all the children that are off school, they can play in it. So. In years back, my grandmother used to skate on Boston Fens, used to do speed skating, and they used to just get the skates out and skate to work and things like that, and used to make do. But we've got such a nanny state now, haven't we, that everybody has to look at everybody else. I know the roads are faster and they're more dangerous, and so they have to be kept clear, but people don't use their own common sense and drive to conditions. They're always wanting to blame somebody else for not clearing that bit of ice, not clearing that snow. You know, my granddad used to walk on hedges to work because they were level with the snow in Wales. No, I think it's a different culture altogether, really. It's a different way of life than it used to be years ago. even when I was small, and that's not too long ago.
No, well, it was only about 3 years ago, wasn't it, Rachel?
Well, yes.
If I'm completely honest.
Well, yes. But we did have that cold spell, didn't we? The 2 consecutive years, 2009, 10, and 10 to 11, where we had really frozen days. And I can remember going to the supermarket, and on my car it said -9 at 10 o'clock in the morning. Never experienced that in my life. It was freezing. That was Highcombe, Lincoln.
Wow. What about you, Mike? Do you think that the UK go into panic mode when we have a bit of snow on the ground?
I think they do, don't they? But we do love to complain, don't we, the Brits? We complain when it's too hot. We complain when it's too cold. I mean, I don't really know, Rachel, about me going on any lakes, skating to work or across any edges, love. I think I put a few pounds on over Christmas to be going across any lakes. I mean, I'll give it a go and let you know if I'm on the next episode. That'll answer that. But you know, it's we do love to complain.
If you're in,
go on, Jason.
If you're in hospital, Mike, you'll get your vaccine.
Well, hey, listen, every plus, you've got to go for that silver lining, haven't you? Listen,
don't encourage him to go on the ice.
The thing is, though, do you think that, like, when you look at other countries that deal with, like, we're talking about when we were back in, not in COVID time, I'm talking about not in COVID time, really, and we would have 2 inches of snow on the ground, and places were closed, including schools again. Places were closed, and it was too dangerous to go to work and stuff like that. But there were people, like in other countries, that were walking to school in 6 inches of it, and we're still making it into the school building, and still things were opening, and still things were running. Do you think that the UK, not just Lincolnshire, do you think that the UK is still behind the times? And no matter how many times we go through it, we never seem to be prepared.
I think Rachel was right. I think she made a valid point. As you go through the generations, I remember snow when I was younger, and I remember learning to drive and having snow at that time. But I think because we get so little of it now, when people go out to drive, because they've not driven in snow before, they struggle a little to drive properly and drive to the conditions, and that causes a problem. But yeah, I mean, I just think generally the country just struggle a little bit with snow, and it's just one of those things, because we get it so infrequently, we're just not used to dealing with it, and we just kind of go, oh dear. And then, as the British like to do, we chat about the weather, and we go, it's too cold, we've had some snow, we're going to be worried.
Don't you worry, Jason, because you're going to push all younger generations to get on that lake, get skating, in the words of Rachel, and if all else fails, you'll crash and drown. Nick, what was the next topic we were looking at?
Oh, Mike, it's so good to have you back. The other thing that I find amusing now, and to the point of annoying a little bit, is that when we have, and I apologise to anybody out there that does this, but this is, again, in the words of Mike Curtis, this is just my general opinion. But you know, when we have that tiny bit of snow flakes down from the sky, and then all of social medias just explode. Oh my word, have you seen it snowing outside? It's snowing. It's snowing. It's snowing. And I want to put underneath every bloody comment, I've got eyes. I can see that it's snowing. I don't need it planted all over.
Well,
do you get annoyed by that?
We all become weather forecasters.
Well, we do.
It's going to snow.
They get it wrong, though, don't they?
Oh, do they, Rachel? Tell us more.
They do get it wrong. They often get it wrong. You go on my little app, and it says it's going to rain or it's going to snow in so many minutes, and it does, but they get it wrong. They do. I'd rather have my little app and then Facebook, and I can report it and be of public service.
My friend that I used to work with years ago used to say to me, he used to hate hearing on the weather, it's going to rain it's going to rain and snow in places. And he used to say to me, tell me the bloody places, because I just won't go out. If you tell me where the rain and snow is in places, I won't go out. You smoke the smile every time.
The funniest when they said there's going to be showers. They
Yeah.
could be hit and miss. Well, where they're going to hit and where they're going to miss.
Can you remember, Mike, this is going to be really difficult for you because I know it's years ago, but can you remember the first time you saw snow?
Oh yeah, I remember it. There was a horse and cart on the street. And there was stoked fires and people singing with, big tall hats on, and it was marvelous. I think Queen Victoria was on the throne. No, I can't remember a specific moment as a child. No, I can't. I've got to be honest.
It snowed every year when I was a child. It seemed, can't remember the first day it snowed, the first time it snowed, but it seemed to snow properly every year.
Really?
I can't remember the first time, but it always snowed.
I can't remember the first time it snowed, but I've become as I've told you, I've become an uncle this last year. The plan is that when it is safe, I am going to bring him on one show and introduce you all. I've spoken to my sister and she's kind of happy for me to bring him on just to say hello. And so you can all see him, little baby Freddie. I'm more excited about seeing him. And the first time when he goes into the garden and makes the snowman and makes the snow angel and all of that. And it might be few and far between. It might be about 15 by the time the next time snow's on the ground. But I'm more excited about that. But I can't remember the first time seeing snow. I can't. I remember as a child though. Snow on the ground, and I was sat like that by the radio, right, and the school's closed, and I was sat like in my pyjamas like that with my fingers crossed going, can I go back to bed? Can I go back to bed? Can I go back to bed? Can you remember? Can you remember it, Jason? Can you remember the first time you saw snow?
Yeah, 1984. I was 4 at the time. This is when I remember it being bad. And I remember me and my brother digging in my granddad's driveway so he could get the car out.
Wow.
And my mum has a photo in the old family photos, when the days when we didn't have phones, of actually me and my brother digging the driveway for my granddad to get his car out.
My goodness, that was a big sigh, Rachel.
I was thinking I'm the only fossil on here. Can you please have a range of ages next time, please? I feel like
we do. I've just put you on the young panel this time.
Nick looks much older than he appears, Rachel. Honestly.
Is he?
Unfortunately, that's it for this evening. We've done our first 2021 show. It's great to be back, and I've absolutely loved it. Will you please thank my panel for this evening? The first person I'm going to thank, though, is Darren Holt. Thank you for your first BSL signing, Darren. You were amazing, incredible. But also thank my panel for this evening. Give us a wave as I say your name. Thank you, Rachel Penny.
Rachel Penny.
Jason Lambert. And Mike Curtis. Join us next week where we've got a very exciting show. If you are a fan of BBC's The Voice, we have a contestant. Billy Beach is coming for his first interview after being on BBC's The Voice. He's going to talk about his experience on there, what he sang, and how it's changed his life for the better. We are his first interview after the BBC's Voice, and he will be closing our show with a song. So please join us next week to find out a lot more about that. Tune in. Remember, we are now running right up till August, so keep with us every week. Come and join the debate, because remember, it's your show as well as ours. See you next week. You've been amazing. Good night. Good night.